Hey, my name is Dom. I'm here to review the all-star season of Love Island, the second season. Last video, I commented on episode 1 to 3, and this video is going to be on episode 4 to 6. So let's get started. There's so much stuff that happened. So Kaz comes back from her kiss with Ronnie, which I still think is a little bit slimy. I know Elma had told her, you can go talk to him, you can go crack on, whatever. I just think that they should have waited a little bit longer, and Kaz knows this. She apologizes to Elma, so that's definitely a good thing. I just still think it's a little bit slimy, but at least she apologized. And then Elma goes to see Ekin-Su to talk about it. And one thing that has always bothered me with Ekin is that she often tells her friends to not cry. Like if one of her friends gets fucked over by a guy, she has often told them to not cry and don't you dare cry, don't you dare fucking cry. I think that it's not a good thing to say that to a friend, especially when they've been hurt. I think it's a good thing to cry. So it's always bothered me a little bit. I feel like if I had been fucked over by a guy, I would not go see Ekin, because to me, she doesn't seem like a very, I think she thinks it's supportive, but for me, it wouldn't be something supportive to say, because it's okay, it's good to cry. I should be able to cry. And I don't like when Ekin tells her friends to not cry. It bothers me. Ronnie comes over and he pulls Elma from Ekin-Su, and they start arguing about who leaned to who initiated. Who cares? If they're two consenting adults, there's no, I don't know, it makes it sound who cares? They were both consenting, so yeah, I think Elma is just feeling emotional, which is 100% valid, but I don't think that discussion doesn't make sense to me. Also, Ronnie reminds me of Barty Crouch Jr. The Harry Potter character who is constantly he's constantly licking, and there's a snake sound. I swear, Ronnie is constantly licking his lips and he kind of looks like him. So yeah, it's weird, but he reminds me of Barty Crouch Jr. And then Scott goes to sit with Elma, and he just hypes her up. Yeah, Lucas or is it Luca? Luca and Scott they just seem genuinely sweet, and they seem to actually really care about Elma, and it's nice. Elma definitely needs it, and it's nice to see that the guys care about what she's going through. Marcel and Liv are by the fire pit, and they're kind of chatting, whatever. And there's people that, the fire pit is pretty central, right? And there's people watching them. And Marcel kind of says something like, oh, let's give the people what they want. And then they kiss. It's just not romantic at all. And you know how Gabby in the first episode said something like he told the girl he hooked up with at the hotel that their love was a showman's? Maybe, I don't know, does Marcel, maybe, it just seemed like he was doing something for the show in that moment. If I really liked someone, I wouldn't just waste my first kiss to give the people what they wanted, right? I would actually want, and I would want something special, that's all. I love the scene where Gabby and Marcel are sitting on the daybed, and you can see their friendship, even though, they've had a rocky relationship, you can really tell that Gabby wants the best for Marcel, and Marcel wants the best for Gabby. They kind of talk about their kisses. Oh yeah, Gabby kissed Casey. So it's super cute. You can tell that maybe Gabby hasn't forgiven him 100%, but you can tell that they're moving on, and they actually care about each other, and they want each other to be happy in their separate lives. The conversation with Elma and Kaz was pretty disappointing. I think more towards Elma's like reaction. Basically, she's saying that Kaz isn't being honest, that she initiated the kiss, and that it was giving off desperate. I feel bad for Kaz. Like, I understand Elma is allowed to be upset, you know. I think it shouldn't have happened, especially because they've been friends for 5 years. And I think Elma is in, you know, whatever, she can feel how she feels, but it just sucks that she's kind of dragging Kaz down and accusing her and saying that it was desperate. Yeah, I think that's not super fair, especially because Kaz is completely telling her the truth. She is apologetic. She does feel bad about the situation. What happened is that Ronnie leaned in to kiss her, and she just, you know, she went with it. It's unfortunate that this 5-year friendship between Elma and Kaz, this boy is getting in the way of it. I don't think it has anything to do with Ronnie specifically. I think just the fact that Elma and this boy kissed, and then a few hours later Kaz and the same boy kissed. I think that's what's causing the problem, but it just sucks to see these girls bickering about a boy. It breaks my heart that Elma is she attacking Kaz's? No, she's not. She's just telling her that she thinks Kaz is being calculated. And Kaz, I can see the hurt in her eyes. She's saying, like, you don't even know me. If that's what you think, you don't even know me. And yeah, I don't think Kaz is calculated. Like, I genuinely just think it was this, she got caught in the moment. And she went to go tell her friend, and she apologized, and she felt bad, and I don't think Kaz is calculated at all, and it makes me sad that Elma is saying that about her. Something that royally pisses me off is when Ronnie says, I've apologized 10 times. I'm not apologizing 11 times. Let's just get over it. It sucks that this friendship might be disintegrating because of this. Like, fuck. It's not even like Ronnie is gonna be a long-term partner for any of these girls, I don't think. So it's just, it sucks. And then Luca, our boy, the sweet guy Luca says, yeah, but Elma hasn't moved on. Like, thank you. You know, Ronnie, you cause all this drama and you hurt this girl's feelings, and then you're like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. And Luca, who's done nothing, he's kind of saying like, okay, but you kind of have to, you know, you have to pick up the pieces. There are consequences to your actions. You hurt Elma, so you're going to have to, you know, talk through it. And yeah, if you have to apologize an 11th time. Also, he's apologized like maybe once, maybe twice. Like, come on. And then at the end of the episode, there's a recoupling. And I'm kind of shocked that Ronnie, well, I would have been shocked regardless if he picked Elma or Kaz. I just feel bad for Kaz. Like, she genuinely she looks sad. Like, she looks, I don't know if she actually really liked Ronnie. It's just that she's, you know, she was with Curtis and then he got stolen, and then with Ronnie, and then, you know, she hasn't found. I'm really hoping that somebody good comes in for Kaz that is, you know, that really likes her and that chooses her. So moving on to episode 4, basically after the recoupling, Elma and Ronnie, they kind of make up, and I'm surprised actually that Elma is still attracted to Ronnie. Like, that's pretty slimy. I mean, I know that they're not together or whatever, but just the fact that he lied and said that, oh, you know, Kaz initiated it, and then during one of the conversations, he was like, oh, yeah, well, I half told the truth, you know, like, it's not a big deal, and then he wasn't really down to apologize, you know, just, yeah, I don't see Elma, I don't know, I just don't understand why she's attracted to him. I feel like that's mean, but Naz and Catherine go to the terrace, and, you know, they make out a little bit. Is it just me, or does Naz seem... he just seems awkward. Maybe it's just his, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit more reserved. I just don't see it. But maybe that's just his personality and I don't interpret it properly. I think Catherine is super down for him, and he keeps saying like I'm a notoriously slow burner. So yeah, maybe I'm just interpreting it wrong and he's actually really into Catherine. You know, maybe they're both into each other. I just find that they have awkward interactions, and I think it's coming more from Naz. And it was just hilarious after the kiss when Naz's lips start burning and Catherine just explains to him that it's a lip plumper. Like, I think that's really funny. So Tina from season 2, she has 3 dates with Luca, Naz, and Scott. And the first date is Luca. I can't gauge what's going on with Luca. He doesn't make a lot of eye contact with her, but he says he's attracted to her. And then he kind of jokes that she seems like she has a lot of money. He just acts like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, he acts like he doesn't really care, but then he says he's interested. If I were on a date with a guy that didn't make a lot of eye contact and kind of joked about how he thinks I have a lot of money, I would think that he's not super interested. And then I see the contrast, like if we compare Catherine and Naz and Tina and Naz, I think there was so much more of a click. Like, she seems really down for him and vice versa. He also seems really down for her. I know this is a quick, they probably had like a 30-minute date, but I actually see them matching way better than Catherine and him. Finally, Scott walks in and I have terrible predictions because I said in my last video that my prediction was that India and Scott were gonna win. Honestly, what the hell am I thinking? Scott is the guy that got away, the person that got away. And it's really early days with India, so his head might turn. That's actually crazy that I was so sure about India and Scott. He seemed really down. Like, he genuinely seemed like in love with India. But I understand if Tina comes in, they've known each other, nothing really happened. I can see his head turning, unfortunately. It's pretty sketchy that Scott asks Tina if she knows Casey, and Tina basically tells him that, yeah, last time I saw him, he had to apologize to me, or he apologized to me or something, which honestly just confirms, what Kaz was saying at the beginning, how he's fucked over girls specifically from Love Island. Like, the only new girl that comes in is saying that Casey fucked her over. The initial conversation with Scott and India, Scott pulls India and tells her that, just explains the situation, what happened in season 2, how he was locked in with Katie, I think was his ex-girlfriend, and that they didn't really have a chance to explore it. So he owes it to himself and maybe to Tina to kind of see what's up. And I think Scott is acting perfectly. Like, he's very mature. He's telling India what's going on. And India also kept her cool. But Scott has been doing nothing wrong. Like, I genuinely think that everything he's doing right now is very mature. During the challenge, I love that Casey was confronted to the situation with Tina. They both explained their position, like their version of the story. Casey basically said after a party, Tina was left alone to wait for her taxi. And then Ronnie asks, Tina, what's your version of events? And she basically says that he left with a group of girls, didn't say bye. So yeah, again, it confirms what Kaz was saying, in my opinion. I loved when Tina said, I'll take another sorry. She said, like, with the lean in a little bit, and Casey says, I'm sorry. And then what pisses me off is when Casey's asked during the challenge who's the biggest gamer, and it's such a low blow. He says Kaz because in the first 5 minutes that he walked in, she was going at him. Like, I had such high hopes. Like, she apologized to him. He said that it was forgiven. Kaz made sure, is it really forgiven? And they seem to be buddies. So now he's still angry about it, and that pisses me off. And then he says he's angry because Kaz said to everyone that he's fucked over every single girl he's been with. That's not what she said. My favorite part of the episode was when Ronnie dared Casey to snog the girl he just had an argument with. That was funny. And then India is asked who's the most calculated in the villa, and she says, based on tonight's events, I think it's Scott. And Scott just doesn't understand. Like, he's asking her, what did I do? I think he did nothing. He was so honest. Like, I think Scott has handled himself like a very respectful person. I would be so pissed also, like, if I was super respectful. You know, they've only been together for, I think, 4 days. And then he tells her, I want to get to know Tina a little bit. Like, that's fine. And then he says that he's got the ick, which is an emotional response, but I completely understand where he's coming from. It sucks because I see India, like, I used to see India and Scott as a good match, and I thought India was, I'm not saying she's immature. I think she's acting, well, a little bit. Like, she's acting emotionally, which I understand. She seems to genuinely like Scott, but I think the way that she's acting, especially in early days, like, they don't really know each other, and she's kind of making this big deal out of Scott being honest. Like, I think honesty should be rewarded, and the way she's acting, yeah, she's pushing him further away. I don't appreciate the conversation that India and Scott had after this challenge. Basically, Scott is going to India saying, listen, I'm very sorry for my initial reaction. That wasn't okay. Like, respect. Like, that's, you know, he's being the better, like, the bigger person, and apologizing first, you know, and opening this conversation in, like, a very, not non-confrontational, but in a very respectful way. And he's asking for an explanation from India, and India is basically saying, yeah, I don't know why you took it so personally that I said you were calculated. Like, my opinion of Luca almost did not a 180 completely, but in the last episode, I thought he was super sweet. You know, he was comforting Elma. Yeah, I just thought he was super sweet. And then after the challenge, his interactions with Kaz, he had a conversation about saying how they, you know, there could be something between them, which I didn't really understand, because then at the end of the conversation, Kaz kind of said, oh, we could be friends with benefits. I don't know, maybe they know each other well on the outside. Were they in the same season? Anyways, probably they're friends on the outside, because that was a weird conversation. And not even 2 minutes later, well, he goes to his boys, right? And he says, I'm gonna go make out with Tina now. So he pulls Tina, he puts her in the middle, like, they go to the middle of the villa, and he basically makes out with her in front of everyone, everybody kind of like cheering them on. It just seems, what? Like, it just seems so weird. I think it's hilarious that Scott, when Scott asked Curtis for advice on how he should deal with the India and Tina situation, just from Curtis's season, I would not take advice from Curtis. Like, just the advice that he gave in his season, I don't understand why people go to Curtis for his advice, because I don't think he gives good advice at all. And then Scott basically says that he doesn't know if Tina is one to settle down, and he says something like, I don't know if she's just someone he would have a lot of fun with. Like, that kind of gave me the ick. That's not really fair. It just seems, is he saying that they're just gonna hook up a bunch of times? I don't know. I'm excited to see the whole Liv and Luca situation, if that is going to play out. She's speaking with Ekin-Su and she's basically saying that she can't deny that her and Luca had an initial attraction. And I think Liv would be better off with Luca. I think Luca, even though he's acting strange with Tina and the whole Kaz situation, I think if he I'm under the impression that if he truly likes someone, he'll be a good boyfriend and a sweet boyfriend, and I think Liv deserves someone like that. Yeah, I would rather her go with Luca than to go with Marcel, who doesn't have the best track record. And then finally, there's a recoupling at the end of episode 6. And Tina, she chooses Scott. And then, I actually can't believe it, but India gets dumped. Oh, it was very surprising, because I think that the show, there would have been, the story wasn't done. There could have been a lot more drama with this situation. But I think that Tina is better suited with, I think Scott is better suited with Tina. Like, my opinion of India, I know she was hurt, but I think she didn't act in a very mature way compared to Scott. And maybe Tina's a little bit more mature. We'll see. I'm sad India's going. Like, I did like her, but just the way that she deals with conflict with Scott, maybe they're not meant for each other. Or maybe they're gonna, Scott is gonna explore with Tina, it's not gonna work out, and then later on in life, Scott and India are gonna re-meet and have a family together. Who knows? And then at the end of the episode, there's the recoupling. Tina chooses Scott and India is dumped. I was so shocked that she was dumped. I think the story wasn't done. There could have been a lot more drama. And so I'm surprised that the show, sometimes they bring in like 2 new bombshells that bring India on for a date, out for a date. So I'm pretty surprised that they dumped India, because I don't think the drama was done yet. But at the end of the day, I am pretty happy that Scott and Tina are together, just because I didn't see, like, my opinion of India, not of her specifically, but just of her connection with Scott really changed quickly, just because of how she handled the situation, especially because Scott, he's a very, he's an agreeable person, right? Like, he's not afraid to apologize. He's very respectful. He's very honest. And I feel like India didn't appreciate that. Like, I think it's such a red flag for a guy to have those qualities. So if I see a guy, being honest, being respectful, and making sure that he's taking my feelings into consideration, I would really, I don't know, I would be happy, and I would make sure to encourage that behavior. And I feel like even if he was being so amazing and so agreeable and very respectful, she kind of still shut him down. So I think that's a shame. And maybe Tina and him are better suited. Or another possibility is that he explores finally his situation with Tina, and then it doesn't work out, and India and Scott find each other on the outside and they live happily ever after. I'm not sure. That's the end of those episodes. I cannot wait to watch the future episodes. I am very intrigued. I hope you enjoyed. If ever you don't agree with me, just let me know in the comments and we can have a little conversation about it. See you next time. Bye.